In today's lesson, we'll be going over step by step on how to fill out the pre-flight briefing sheet at Dynasty Aviation. The briefing sheet is designed in a way that enforces our students to comply with the FAA pre-flight regulations while also increasing the situational awareness of the local weather and the airport operations. So from the front page of the briefing sheet, we'll fill out the information related to the aircraft inspections and weather information. So first, we'll start with the date, which is December 1st of 2024. Then over here, we can check either 141 or 61, depending on the type of your training you're doing. Then we'll move over here to put in your name in the student section and your instructor's name. For the aircraft type, we'll put in the identifier SLG2 to represent the Sling 2, and November 911 Mike Zulu for your tail number. In order to get the HOPS number, which is 1009.4, what we need to do is we need to log into our flight circle system like this. So once you log into the flight circle, what you want to do is find the aircraft that you're going to fly today. In this example will be 911 Mike Zulu. We'll click on it. It'll bring us to this page. So if you look over here, the total hours will be 1009.4. That is the current HOPS time on the airplane. And that's why we'll put the number there, 1009.4. Now moving over to the right for the 100 hours due, it's 1065.9, which we can find from the reminders. And then if we scroll down, we'll see all the related inspection for this aircraft. So let's find the 100 hours over here. We'll hover over, and we can take a look to see the due date for the next 100 hours will be 1065.9 of engine time. And then we'll go over here and put in 1065.9 of engine time. So we still have about 50 hours or so hours left on the engine before the next 100 hours of due. Moving down to the annual and ELT inspection due date, we can go to the same page and take a look on the first one. It says annual and ELT inspections. And we can see the due date over here will be December 31st of 2024. And that's what we'll put in. December 31st of 2024. And do the same thing for the VOR check, which is December 20th of 2024, which we can come down over here to the VOR receiver check, and we can get the date over here. For the due date will be December 20th of 2024. Here we have two more information that we need to find. The first one is the NOTAM, which can let us know if there are any closures or constructions happening at the airport. So to find out about the NOTAM, we can go over to the FAA NOTAM search website. We'll click onto this button, and we can enter over here the identifier for North Perry Airport, which is KHWO, and we can select North Perry from here. Once you click on search, you want to come over here and click on class to organize all the NOTAMs. And we're looking for the one that says aerodrome, which have to do with the airport. And what we're looking for is to identify if there's any taxiway or runway closures that might affect our flight today. And usually it will be depicted with a red X next to it if there's any closures. So once we verify that, we can go back to the page, and now we can check the TFR. So TFR stands for temporary flight restriction, which is an airspace for a certain amount of time that may not be able to open to the public for civilian aircraft. So what we want to do is want to go to the website SkyVector. So if you go to skyvector.com, that's what the page will look like. You want to go first to the top right and you find layers. Click on it and make sure temporary flight restriction is selected with a blue check mark. And then we can close it. Then we can find North Perry Airport, which is over here, and move over to our practice area, which is over here. And then we can see there's no red circle that depicts a TFR. But if there is a TFR active, what would it look like? If we go to the top, we can see these orange and red circles. And once we hover over, it will actually depict the TFR information, which on the right you can see it's a VIP TFR. It tells you the altitude, tells you the time, will be alive in 1 day and 12 hours. And once we click on it, it will actually bring you to the FAA website where the TFR is published. So that's why you will use the SkyVector website as a portal for us to verify if there's any TFR issued for the day. Next, for the weather section, what we can do is we can go to a website called liveatc.net, and over here we'll listen to the ATIS for North Perry at the time to find out which runway and what the weather information currently is. So we'll enter North Perry identifier, KHWO, click on search, and over here we can see the first section that says ATIS. We can click on listen to listen to the current ATIS. So what we'll do is we'll listen to the sample ATIS.
Perry ATIS information, Tango time 1553 Zulu, wind 330 at 6, visibility 10, sky clear, temperature 24, dew point 11, altimeter 3018. RNAV GPS approach to runway 10 right, circle to 1 left is in use. Landing and departing runway 1 left and 1 right. Advisories, tower split, all aircraft landing and departing runway 1 left, all banner.
Okay, so we'll pause there for the ATIS. So right now we have information Tango, the winds from 330 degrees at 6 knots. Visibility 10 miles, temperature 24, dew point 11, altimeter 30.18 inches mercury. Over here you can see the runway in use is 1 left and 1 right, which means after the airplane takeoff, you'll be facing 010 degrees. So from the compass rule that I drew over here, you can see a heading of 010 will be slightly right side of the north. Okay, and the wind is coming from 330, which is over here on approximately about a northwest direction, 330 degrees. So the difference between 330 and 010, that will be approximately 40 degrees, because from 330 to 360, that's 30 degrees, and from 360, we add another 10 degrees, so a total of 40 degrees of difference between the runway and the wind. So over here, we're gonna find 40 degrees. And once we find 40 degrees, now we need to know what the total wind is. The total wind for today will be 6 knots. So we'll come over here, so we can see the wind arc on the side, and these are representing the wind speed. So we have 10 knots over here and 5 knots over here. 6 knots will be approximately over here. And then we'll just find the intersection between the 40-degree line and the 6 knots of wind arc, which is about right here. Once we find the intersection, we'll make a little dot on that intersection, and we'll go, if we go straight left, we'll find the headwind component for the day, and if we go straight down, we'll find the crosswind component for the day. So the crosswind component is about 4 knots, and that's why we write down 4 knots of crosswind component over here. Then we'll move on to calculating pressure altitude, which you can see over here we'll calculate to be negative 251 feet. So we'll have the formula provided over here. So we'll use 290.92 minus 30.18, which is the current altimeter. We got it over here. So 290.92 minus current altimeter is 30.18. Multiply that number by 1,000, and then we'll plus the field elevation of the North Perry Airport, which is 9 feet. So to review, 290.92 minus 3018, which we got here from the ATIS, times 1,000 and plus the field elevation 9, and we'll get the number of negative 251. So the purpose of calculating pressure altitude is in order for us to calculate density altitude. So the density altitude for the day will be 829 feet. So we'll use the formula here again to calculate density altitude. So we use the formula over here, and to calculate density altitude, we need the outside air temperature for the day, which is 24 degrees Celsius, minus international standard atmosphere temperature, which is always 15 degrees at sea level. So since North Perry is about sea level, we can use 15 degrees for our ISA temperature. So over here will be 24 minus 15 times 120 plus the pressure altitude. So since our pressure altitude is a negative number, so if we're plusing the negative number, it will just minus that number. So in total will be 24 minus 15 times 120 minus 251, and we'll get the density altitude for the day of 829 feet. So to summarize the front page of the briefing sheet, number 1, we'll use the flight circle for aircraft inspections. Number 2, we'll listen to the ATIS on liveatc.net or use the handheld radio at the school for the weather information. Number 3, we'll use the SkyVector website for checking the TFR. And number 4, we'll use the FAA NOTAM search website to verify the local NOTAMs.